In this video, we will be discussing DocAuto's Watchdog module. Watchdog can be used to receive instant notification of suspicious or desired user activity on an organizational level within any number of worksite systems. This centralized solution is a comprehensive tool that can generate notifications or disable user accounts based on any activity in worksite, regardless of the source or type of operation. It also provides for detailed operation filtering to send custom notification to specific users based on who performed the activity, what groups they are a member of, or any combination of metadata and/or security. Watchdog can continuously monitor all activity directly in one or more worksite databases and instantly notify specific users or groups to both maximize security and increase productivity. Several key features of Watchdog Server are: Watchdog Server can monitor 24 different worksite user operations in real time, including check-in, check-out, create, export, delete, print, modify security, etc. It can report on all activity or disabled user accounts. It can notify specific users or groups instantly and automatically. Example, an attorney can be informed of activity on their matters or by users they manage. Disable user accounts automatically if activity exceeds preset thresholds. Customized notification content can include very detailed event user and document by document information. Can generate notifications based on metadata filters to alert users of specific matter activity. An example of this would be collection notices, document creation by external users, security edits, copying of forms, etc. It's important to note that Watchdog can pull data from multiple ODBC compliant data sources to generate filtering and notification profiles. Some typical jobs that can be configured would include preventing content theft, notifying security administrators if users export, check out, or email unusually high volumes of documents. It can improve customer service by notifying attorneys when specific contents are created for their key clients. It can notify management when important or potentially unusual activities occur within their groups, or simply provide regular activity reports. It can also track, copy, check out, or edit operations on master documents or forms. Watchdog is installed and configured using DocAuto's server platform. Using the job editor, jobs can be opened, jobs can be created from existing jobs. We can save jobs, export jobs, and actually launch the job from the job editor. Desk site or file site 8.5 or higher is required to be installed on the server that's running the job editor. Watchdog does use HP's 3-tier architecture, so this client is required for proper running of Watchdog jobs. Please note, the DocAuto Job Editor server and server platform should only be connected to a non-clustered worksite server. We require a dedicated DMS middle tier server to use as the broker for the 3-tier architecture. Worksite clustering is not supported. Also note that your license file will need to be added to the DocAuto Server Administration tool for successful operation of the Watchdog module. Using the DocAuto Job Editor, open the appropriate job or simply create a new job by choosing Worksite Watchdog. The first section is Job Information. Under the Job Information section, we have a basic summary. This is the job name, and we also have a job description for better outlining what this job is intended to do. Under General Settings is where we define the basic logging level. We have very verbose logging levels for troubleshooting, and we can just report on errors or fatal problems with the existing job that runs. We can choose the date of the format of the file name, and we can also choose whether to export log files to XML, CSV, and so forth. By default, the DocAuto Job Server platform does use a SQL to capture the logs of the various jobs. Any schedule can be set. We can run a job continuously for constant monitoring of specific tasks. We can run once every minute, hour, daily, weekly, monthly, and we even have an advanced cron expression which allows you to get very specific on your job scheduling. There is no limit on the number of schedules that you can create per job. However, there is a limit to how many jobs you may run at the same time. The number of jobs that can be run is limited by the thread pool setting in the server administration console. If there are not enough available threads, then you will see a trigger misfire in the run history, and the job will run when the thread becomes available. If the job worker process is down when the job run is scheduled to run, it will not fire until the process has been restarted. Simple job chaining allows a user to chain jobs together using different criteria based off the job completing. We can enable a job chaining by monitoring the log files as they run, and we can also monitor for the status codes of the various jobs that have run. Depending on the settings here, we can pre-launch a secondary job following the launching of this primary job. This is typically used for log file cleanup and general system maintenances that must happen after a particular job runs. The Job Connections settings area. Here's where we define our worksite connections. The DMS middle tier that will be brokering our work. We can also configure our SMTP settings for notification. And we can also find third-party data sources to pull in as data sources for our jobs. As you can see, a simple data source here created using a SQL script, which will attach to our DocAuto DMS middle tier. And this returns several fields which we will use for this particular job: user ID, full name, and email. All these fields that have been returned by a SQL script can be used as variables. We have the ability to limit our jobs to specific time periods. History logs can be quite extensive, and it's important to limit these to allow for the appropriate reporting. Evaluate event threshold limits for operations that have occurred. This defines the time window that is being analyzed for the number of events in the threshold. You can choose to evaluate limits since the last time the job ran or over a specific period of time. If you choose to evaluate over a time period, you may want to create a sliding time window. For example, if the program is set to run on a regular schedule every 2 minutes and the evaluation limits value is set to 1 hour, then the program runs at 10 o'clock. It will analyze the number of events against the threshold set for the events between 9 a.m. and 10 o'clock. When it runs at 10:02, it will analyze the events between 9:02 and 10:02. This way the program can evaluate the total number of events within the evaluation limit sliding time window to better catch totals that exceed the threshold limit. Process events exceeding limits once during a specific time window. The purpose of this option is to limit notifications of events exceeding thresholds within the same time window to allow for one notification for that time window for events on that database. For example, if the time window is set for 1 hour and the user exceeds its threshold at the beginning of the hour and the job is set to run every 2 minutes, if this is unchecked, 30 notifications will be sent. Whereas if it is checked, only one notification will be sent within that time window. We also have several options to allow for time conversion in different regions. The Events to Monitor section is where the main monitoring events will be set to either send a notification or disable a user account. There are many options that you can set during this phase, and any number of events can be set for a particular job. For instance, we may set one event to signal or notify on document exports. If, say, 7 documents are exported, simply send a notification to an administrator. However, we can also create a second watchdog operation which has a much higher threshold, which will actually disable the user account and send the notification. So we can actually tier these jobs to start with notifications and actually be more aggressive to disable user accounts as needed. All the reporting features that can be found in the user history log can be tracked via this program. A very useful event is to notify users of checked out documents. We have a evaluation time window set for 4 days. If a document has been checked out for 3 or more days, any one document, send a notification. In this job, we're going to send a checkout notification to the specific user that has the document checked out. We have 3 types of filtering that can happen on a particular job. We can filter on users or groups, any metadata, as well as where the document may be filed. User and group filters will allow you to choose your third-party data source variables. We can then send an email to that user that was returned in the query when the notification limit is reached, when the disabling limit is reached. We can send a specific email to particular users or groups at that time. Metadata analysis filters. Here, we're going to filter off specific metadata. That metadata is the field which is the email field for the user. We search on the actual history user, the user that's actually created the event, and we return the correct user ID or value for that event. With the where filed filters, we can again send emails to any particular user, notification limit, and we can actually choose a worksite project ID, which will allow us to key off of a very specific workspace. Queries can be developed for you to search various workspace based off client matter or any other identifying feature of a workspace. Options on the Exclusions tab allows you to exclude certain types of events being monitored by a job or exclude specific users or members of specific groups from being counted towards event threshold totals. For instance, a firm may want to exclude all form documents from monitoring. All our metadata fields are available from our worksite environment. We may exclude a particular author. From our worksite database. Again, all metadata fields are available for this type of filtering. The Actions tab. Send general notifications to. This is the email address or multiple semicolon delimited addresses that should receive generation notification when notification limit thresholds are exceeded. Any address may be specified here, and this is typically the admins who are responsible for monitoring the system. We can also have a separate email account that alerts a particular email address or list of email addresses when accounts have been disabled. It is important to note that in order for any of the account disabling actions to occur, an email address must be supplied in the account disabling notification area here. The message content area. The message content that is delivered with each Watchdog report is able to be broken up into either individual emails for each event or combined emails from a specific job into one single email. When sending using the combined option, a summary line for each event is allowed to be set. This message content section can be customized for individual jobs. Variables are used to indicate detailed information desired for the various areas of the message. Message subject specifies the data with which will be included in the subject line of the email report. Same with the message body. Some of the accepted variables that we can use are current time, current date, source description, event, event threshold, worksite user ID or user performing the action, worksite username and or user performing the action, number of actual user operations, the workspace tab folder type or name and description, workspace tab folder object ID, and worksite Watchdog job file name. Additional settings are available to customize the format of the dates, times, and event descriptions. Body document detail. In this section includes detailed information about each document that had the event performed on it within the threshold. This can be any metadata about the document. There is a serial number that's just a 1, 2, 3, 4 for the number of documents. Tabs can be used to improve the spacing and format of the information. You can include any other information about the document, any metadata, including descriptive metadata on the document, any type of operation on the documents themselves. We can also include an NRL link for each document that has been reported upon. Run history allows us to see the last time a job completed, last time it was completed successfully, and gives you a general dashboard of how the job has progressed over time. Each of these can be clicked on to review the actual log file as well. Edit history shows you the history of the actual job, the Watchdog job that was changed or edited. We also have some email notification, which is inherent to the DocAuto server platform. This can enable administrators on a successful completion or a failure of any individual Watchdog job. We also have the ability to enable SMS notification for failed or incompleted jobs.